really hard over the past few years to hear from the community and work closely with our experts and our team and our Morpsey and CODA in the city of Columbus, all working together and being able to show you what station designs may look like in the near future. It's a really exciting day for us. So we are looking forward to your insight and your feedback as we roll these out. So we are going to be getting started. Also want to say hello to our friends on Facebook Live who are joining us. So we are presenting on 2 platforms this morning, Zoom and Facebook Live. So if you happen to have a colleague or a friend who hasn't registered, they can also see this presentation live on Facebook Live on our page, LinkUS Columbus. And for our friends on Facebook Live, as well as our friends on Zoom, if you have questions, comments during the presentation today, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A as well as in the chat. That is where the majority of our interaction will be, as we have lots of participants. So any questions you have, I see there are a couple raised hands already. Please drop those in the chat or in the Q&A, and we'll get those answered as soon as we can. And another note, we will also have a Q&A at the end of our presentation today. So you will be able to get all of those, as many of those questions answered as we can in the time that we have. And that's for our Zoom and our Facebook Live participants. So that was my big welcome. Before we move into agenda and all that, I do have a quick poll. Since we have lots of participants, hopefully some old friends and some new friends from our community. So I'm going to launch that right now. And the poll is, have you engaged with us? Is this your first time attending a LinkUS engagement, or are you an old friend who's been with us for a couple of years? So I see several of you participating already. And then this poll is also going to be available on our Facebook Live too. So if you're on Facebook Live, let us know, is this your first time with us today, or are you an old friend of LinkUS? And I'll give just a couple of seconds for everyone to answer. You all are really quick, able to do that within like a minute. So it looks like majority of you are old LinkUS friends, have been with us before, but we've got a good amount that are new, and this is your first engagement. So welcome. You will be learning a lot about the LinkUS project, and we'll definitely get you up to speed to understand everything we've been doing over the past couple of years. So like I mentioned, the purpose of today's meeting is to share project updates, not only on the LinkUS East Main and West Broad corridor, but for the whole campaign. And so these concepts that you see today will be a part of all of the corridors that we have working and that we will be working on in the future. You'll be seeing some initial concepts based off of some community engagement activities that I'm sure some of you all have participated in over the past year. And finally, and most importantly, getting your feedback on these station concepts. You'll hear this several times today, but we are in the concepting phase. So nothing's set in stone. There's no shovels in the dirt yet. So we are at the point where we want to hear what is going to work best for the community and be a good addition to your neighborhoods. So for our agenda, I'm going to keep you for an hour. We're going to overview LinkUS, where we've been, where we are, where we're going. We're going to walk through how we got here with the station designs, with our community-inspired design sessions. We're going to actually show you photos of really cool design concepts, and then we'll have a good 15 minutes for question answering. So once again, add those questions to the Q&A, and our Facebook Live friends, make sure you add those there, and we will make sure we can answer as many questions as we can. And then some introductions. So my name is Donna Marbury. I've been talking here for a couple minutes, but I'm a part of the East-West engagement team from Warhol and Wall Street. We also have several speakers from the City of Columbus and CODA and ACOM today. Justin Goodwin, Zach Sunderland, Ray Gaida, Michael Bongiorno, and Matt Bisa. So I wanted to ask Zach if he wanted to come on really quickly and just introduce yourself and talk more about what we're here for today.
Yeah, thanks, Donna, and welcome everybody. I know there's a lot of familiar faces, and for those that this may be your first LinkUS meeting, welcome. I won't take too much time, but I do want to see if you can put in the chat what your name and what community or neighborhood you represent. And that'll be a good start to just have the team let us know who all is attending today. At this point, I'll turn it over to Justin to talk about the LinkUS initiative overview.
Thanks, Zach. Justin Goodwin, Mobility and Parking Administrator for the City of Columbus Department of Public Service. As Donna mentioned, we have a number of people who are old friends, so might go over a little bit of review of information that some folks are familiar with. But for those who are new, hopefully there's some new information here to get you up to speed on the LinkUS initiative. So LinkUS builds on nearly 10 years of previous work that began with MORPC's Insight 2050 effort, CODA's Next Gen plan, and then the Insight 2050 Corridor Concepts effort as well. In 2020, CODA, the City of Columbus, MORPC, and Franklin County partnered together to form the LinkUS initiative. And this past summer, we've released the LinkUS Community Action Plan. The cover of that is shown here on this slide. And it outlines the who, what, why, and the how of LinkUS as we move forward to do some big things. If you haven't already, you can check out the Community Action Plan at linkuscolumbus.com. I'm going to touch on a few items that are in the plan in the next few slides. LinkUS, sorry, just checking my notes here. LinkUS is designed to address three of the biggest challenges that face our community: growth, affordability, and opportunity gaps. We're currently a region of 2.2 million people, and we're projected to become a region of 3 million by 2050. And that estimate was made prior to the announcement of the major Intel project earlier this year. And we do expect the rate of growth to continue to accelerate. And this growth is having a huge impact on affordability in our region. For example, housing prices have increased 32% since March of 2020, 16% just in 2022 alone. And lastly, we can't be a truly prosperous community unless we're all sharing in our success. And LinkUS is focused on working with our community partners to make investments that advance equity and close those opportunity gaps that exist for about a third of Franklin County residents. So to address these challenges, LinkUS aims to make historic mobility investments to meet our current and our future growth demands, so that getting to and from where you're going is convenient, reliable, and accessible to all. And these investments will encourage the building of more affordable, more walkable, and connected communities. And most of all, these integrated mobility and housing investments will create a community that's healthier, safer, and will increase access to jobs, to schools, activities, and healthcare for everyone in our community. So to achieve these outcomes, LinkUS plans will create at least 5 new rapid transit corridors. We'll add 45% more transit service hours, so increasing the frequency and coverage of the entire transit system, and aims to build over 500 miles of new sidewalks, bikeways, greenways, and strategic roadway and intersection improvements to support this growth and our mobility demands. And that those numbers are projected out over the next approximately 30 years. The LinkUS partners have been closely studying similar initiatives in peer cities. For example, by making similar types of investments over the last 10 years, 40% of all new development in the Minneapolis-St. Paul region has occurred along its major transit corridors. And because of investments like this, Minneapolis has seen the lowest combined housing and transportation costs of any of our peer cities. That's the type of strategy that LinkUS aims to implement. On the next slide, the map that's shown here, this shows a vision of an integrated rapid transit system for the Central Ohio region. The 3 corridors shown in blue on this map are already in design. I'll talk a little bit more about each of those. These corridors, the ones highlighted in blue, will utilize bus rapid transit or BRT and have dedicated lanes for transits and with premium stations in the center of the roadway where possible. And renderings of these stations will be shown shortly here. And that really will be the focus of today's presentation. Corridors are expected to operate on 15-minute or better intervals and run on clean energy. They'll operate similar to light rail, but can be built quicker and at a fraction of the cost. And we anticipate completion of these 3 initial corridors by the end of 2030. That is ultimately dependent on pursuing a regional funding strategy, including eventually a transit sales tax initiative that will allow us to secure federal funding as a local match. The corridors in green are identified in CODA's NextGen plan, but have not yet been finalized to the same level of specificity as those in blue. And next, I'll give a quick overview on the update of each of the corridors that are in design. So the West Broad Street corridor is nearly 9 miles long, beginning at the Prairie Township Community Center on the far west side and heading into downtown Columbus. The dashed green line on this map is showing where we anticipate the BRT operating in mixed traffic, whereas the solid green line is where we expect it to operate in its own dedicated transit lanes. Again, that's all in the design process now. We do expect the Federal Transit Authority of the FTA to secure capital investments grants funding as a federal funding match in the near future as part of the implementation strategy. We're approaching 30% design completion and will proceed into the 60% design process in 2023. And the next corridor, the East Main Street corridor, is 13 miles long, beginning at the Eastwood development in Reynoldsburg on the far east side and heading west through Whitehall, Bexley, and into downtown Columbus, and then integrating with the West Broad Street corridor and other corridors in downtown. There are multiple concurrent planning efforts underway within downtown Columbus that require an extensive amount of coordination between the city, CODA, and downtown stakeholders. And there will be a downtown multimodal transportation study kicking off in early 2023 to ensure that we're taking a holistic approach to all of these mobility investments in downtown. We anticipate having 30% design completion for East Main in the first quarter of 2023, and then similarly proceeding through full design beginning or moving through the rest of the year. And this project has already also been accepted into the FTA's Capital Investments Grants Program. And then lastly, the Northwest Corridor connects 5 of our region's largest sports and entertainment venues and 3 of the largest employment hubs within Franklin County, representing 30% of all jobs in Franklin County. And it's expected to continue to grow in population by 50% by 2040. This project will be implemented, we expect, in 3 phases. The first phase moves from downtown west along Spring Street and connects to Olentangy River Road up to Bethel Road. And future phases will extend from Bethel Road over to Sawmill Road and then ultimately to 161 of the Bridge Park development in Dublin, and then eventually all the way to the High University campus area in West Dublin. The CODA board just a few weeks ago adopted this alignment shown on the slide here as the locally preferred alternative for the Northwest Corridor. And that's the first step in the process to move into that FTA Capital Investments Grants funding program. And we anticipate that next step into that CIG program in 2023. Next, Ray Gaida with CODA will outline the community engagement process that we've followed as we've moved through the corridor station design process.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Justin. As Justin said, my name is Ray Gaida. I'm the marketing manager over at Coda, was a part of the team in doing a lot of engagement last year. So really excited to share some of the results that we had from those sessions over the last year. So we did 6 community inspired design sessions through April and June to June. We were at a lot of the different Columbus Metropolitan Libraries. We were all over both of the corridors within East Main and West Broad to really make sure we were tapping into all aspects of the community. So you can see some of the locations that we were at throughout that time period. So this is just a quick image just to kind of show what it looked like during those engagement sessions. So first thing that we really wanted to focus on was really educating. So for example, the presentation that Justin gave today, we really wanted to make sure that everyone was fully aware of the purpose of LinkUS, as well as some of the understanding around how the engineers and the design team really were set up with the task of designing these stations and getting everybody fully on board to be able to contribute in a really impactful way. We talked about dreams and challenges. We really got clear with everyone on what they wanted to see, what they felt that their community really needed, and took a lot of those things into play. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. And yeah, we also did some exercises as well to really inspire each community to understand the uniqueness of the community, so that we could also contribute that to part of the design as well. So going into kind of what we heard from the community overall, everyone had a lot of this very similar things to share. It was a really great experience to be able to hear about these things. So some of the top level things that we heard from you guys was we really want to prioritize safety. So you'll see some aspects of the design that really focus on that. Respecting community context, really understanding that this isn't just one single brand that is a sore thumb in your community, but that it's really a linkage of all the communities within the Columbus area. Expressing community identity, you'll see some aspects of that as well. That was something that was really important to a lot of the communities we were speaking with. And universally accessible. And that is something else that we will also go over. First mile and last mile options, technologically enhanced, environmentally friendly. This was also a big one. I know a lot of you guys have been pushing for that, so we did keep that in mind. And then also easily identifiable, making sure that it is really understood that this is what this is a rapid transit station, and that this is for those corridors. So we took those things into play. And now I'm going to pass it over to the design team at AECOM, and they're going to talk a little bit about how we took all of this information from you guys, and really put that into play for the design concepts you'll see today. So I'll pass it over to Matt and Michael.
Great. Thanks, Ray. Thanks for the overview to everyone. Let me tell you how excited Matt and I are here to talk to you today to share the design concepts with you. This opportunity to, and actually responsibility to contribute such an important community impacting investment is one we've approached with passion and a seriousness of purpose, an open mind, collaboration. So I hope in the end, you're as excited about it as we are here today with you. I'm going to give an overview of the general station shelter design approach, and then Matt is going to dive into more detail and talk about the immediate station area integration and some of the first mile, last mile stuff, as well as amenities. So our team, working closely with Coda, LinkUS, and along with the community feedback you just heard, we've come up with what we think are stations like no other. But really, the stations themselves, what makes a station, right? Well, there isn't just one kind, right? So this is a diverse corridor in terms of its neighborhoods as well as the street widths. What can it accommodate today? So broadly speaking, for those of you who don't, have not heard this before, there are two major types of stations. There's a median station, which is essentially in the middle of the road. And then there are side stations, which, as you can imagine, are part of the sidewalk system. Within that, there are substation types. There are narrow ones for the median stations for narrow thoroughfares, and then there are standard ones for standard thoroughfares. And then when you look at the station types, there are stations that are flush with the sidewalk. There are stations that have the bike lane closely integrated. And then there are other stations that are located above the sidewalk. So as we go through these, I'm going to show you those two major types. So next slide, please. So the technical part of the concept design process is during that we really work closely with Coda, LinkUS in an iterative and inclusive process. And a big part of that is early on, as a result of the community outreach engagement that we did and the workshops we've had with our client, we established a set of design principles from which we would then design our building, and so or our stations. So in the 6 of those are the usability of them, operability, how it functions, the simplicity of it. Really, if you want to, have a long-term solution that it doesn't become an operational nightmare, you need to think about approaching it simply. Really thinking about weaving the community into the process, and then looking at and talking about identity. Yes, this is a Coda and LinkUS brand, but it also has to fit within the community, and what does that impression give you? And then finally, resiliency, sustainability. How does this station reduce carbon footprint and contribute over time? So we studied a number of options, a number of variations, and we really, and you can see here at the bottom of the screen what that process looked like. We went from many to few, and so we whittle it down to the concept that Matt and I are about to share. And if you go to the next slide, what we really hope is that what we came up with was sort of the best of all the ideas, and really a station design that's really not like one that we've seen before in the country, and we're kind of calling it the dynamic frame. The reason this is exciting is this particular design solution accomplishes many things with one simple idea. So while it's simple, it's also dynamic. It's visually open, but it's also protected from the elements. So that openness, contributes to the feelings of safety. It's innovatively cost effective. I'll talk a little bit about that. It's meant to fit in anywhere while also being able to represent the community. I'll talk a little bit about that as well. The beautiful thing is that the form itself is driven by performance and function, not aesthetics. But in the end, we ended up with an aesthetically beautiful and unique design, which is really kind of like the textbook definition of what it means to innovate. Next slide, please. So what's really awesome about the approach is the simplicity of it. We really took a kit of parts approach, right? And so we're using a single material. It's a smooth precast concrete that it will make it simple to build, but it will also make it super durable. It's going to be easier to construct and install this because it can essentially be assembled off-site and then brought in like a piece of furniture and then set down on its foundations. There are fewer systems that are going to be a part of this. So that means there's going to be less maintenance and less wear and tear on over time. And the fewer materials there are really in any system like this, the better the performance. So if you're looking kind of left top to down on the left-hand side, you can see there's a precast roof. There are these precast end walls. In the center of it, you see something called a community art wall. That's where we're going to weave in some community expression that can be different for each station. So the stations will be consistent as they move through the corridors, but that is an opportunity to really emphasize the connection to the community. Next slide, please. So this is the large station, right? That is a median station. So you can kind of see there are buses on either side of it. Those red lanes are the dedicated bus lanes. And in the state center is the station itself. One of the things I want to point out while we're looking at the overview is that the way this roof is sloped, on one side, there'll be a channel in this roof that will take the water down to the right-hand side into a planted basin. And on the left-hand side, that sloped roof will have a channel and it'll take it down to a little bit of a trench, and that will take it into the planted basin. We're going to handle all the stormwater essentially on site. We're not going to contribute it to the sewage system. Next slide, please. So in terms of safety as well, as well as identity, one of our approaches is to have these stations be well illuminated. What we're doing here is we're creating a luminous ceiling panel, so a continuous kind of glowing panel of light that will keep the entire platform evenly illuminated, all night long. And then there will be additional lighting, street lighting, obviously adjacent to it. And there'll be what's called a totem sign, which is an icon sign, which has a station name on it and an interactive map. Matt will get into a little bit of the detail of that in a bit here. Next slide, please. This is the side station, so the standard size of the side station. It's a little different than the median station in that it's justified to one side. It's a bit smaller, but you can see all the components are still there. If you go to the next slide, please. You can see some of that community art integrated into that center panel. The naming of the stations on there. There'll be naming on the station on the end panels of the precast walls. There'll be real-time arrival signage, located on the inside face of those panels. The seating itself is actually the foundation of the structure above, and so that seating is doing double duty. It's holding up the structure, but it's also providing the seating. And so on the ends, you can see there's a set of seats. There's some in the middle as well. And then there'll be glass panels that'll help reduce some of the impact of the wind. Next, please. This gives you another impression of what it looks like and it feels like at night. Next, please. And then Matt is going to talk a little bit more about the furnishings and the other amenities that are going into the station itself. Matt?
Thanks so much, Michael. I appreciate that. So my name is Matt Busa. I'm a landscape architect with AECOM, and I've been working on the station design team along with Michael. As mentioned previously, there was an extensive amount of public engagement and stakeholder engagement that went into these designs. And as Justin mentioned, these are really envisioned to be premium station platforms. So I'm going to take, in the next few slides, I'm going to take you through a series of images that shows kind of the array of amenities that are currently planned for these stations. So this first slide shows the site furnishings. If you could go back one, I'd appreciate that. So the shelter roof, end walls, and windscreens provide protection from the weather. And then these platforms are also envisioned to include benches, lean rails, and trash and recycling receptacles, just to create a place of comfort as people wait for the bus. Next slide. So we really heard from the community and from stakeholders that sustainability was really an important goal in this project. So the stations will include several sustainability features, including the green stormwater infrastructure that Michael mentioned and is shown in this diagram here. But it will also include things like street trees and native landscaping that will enhance the urban tree canopy coverage, provide shade, trap carbon, absorb stormwater, and create habitat for pollinators, birds, and other species. Next slide, please. So this slide here shows wayfinding and signage elements. Wayfinding and signage will help make the stations easy to find and make the transit system simple to navigate. The vertical station beacon that Michael mentioned on the left side of the screen is envisioned to include the station name, as well as a digital touchscreen panel that could include information like a station map or transit announcements. Inside the shelter, the digital real-time bus arrival displays will let riders know how long until the next bus arrives. And then the center wall, as Michael mentioned, will include space for a community art graphic. This image here shows technology and infrastructure that's integrated into the station platform. So these stations are really designed to be high tech. Integrated into the simple form of the architecture, amenities will include things like USB and device charging stations, Wi-Fi internet connection, a PA system, and security cameras. The platform pavement will include a snow melt system that eliminates the need for shoveling snow and salting the platform. It is also a safety feature to reduce risk of slippery pavement. Next slide, please. So we have a series of images here that show the stations in context. The design really extends well beyond the station platform. Each station will be placed in a unique neighborhood context, and it's critically important that these stations are designed with context sensitivity. Having safe intersection crossings, comfortable sidewalks, street trees, landscaping, and lighting all contribute to vibrant and thriving neighborhoods. Go to the next slide, please. Many of the stations will be located in the median and accessed from a signalized crosswalk, as shown in this image. A gently sloping accessible walkway will connect the pedestrian island up to a raised platform, while riders will be able to step onto the bus without stairs, making it easier for people with wheelchairs, strollers, suitcases, or people having other mobility impairments to board the bus. LinkUS will help transform these corridors from car-oriented roads to complete streets that serve multiple modes of transportation, including safe sidewalks, bike lanes, dedicated transit lanes, and general traffic lanes. Next slide, please. This view shows how the open form of the architecture provides clear sight lines into and through the shelter. While the shelter architecture will be consistent throughout the system, making it easy to find and use, the community art wall at the center will change from neighborhood to neighborhood, giving community members a canvas to express their values and their history. Next slide, please. So I'm going to take a step off of the station platform now and talk a little bit about micromobility. So LinkUS recognizes that each trip on a transit vehicle begins and ends on another mode of transportation. The stations are designed to give people options for safe ways of how to get to and from those stations. One of those options is micromobility. So this term refers to low-speed devices such as bicycles and scooters, e-bikes, and then kind of less common devices like segways, skateboards, and a wide variety of others. You can go to the next slide. These devices are not safe in every environment. They can be safely used on cycle highways, on routes like shared use paths and trails. They can also be used safely on primary streets with protected bike lanes or slow speed local streets. Next slide, please. So we have developed 2 prototypes for micromobility hubs. An amenity that would be located near the transit station, but not on the platform. So this would be on the sidewalk side. The micromobility hubs would include things like bike racks, e-bike charging stations, possibly bike share stations, scooter corrals, bike repair stations, and some in a wayfinding and map element. So that as I mentioned, there's kind of 2 prototypes. This one is a linear type that would be located kind of adjacent to the sidewalk. The next slide shows a second prototype for a plaza type micromobility hub that would adapt to a different context. It would include the same elements, but fit better into a public park, open plaza, or vacant lot. It should be noted that not every single station is envisioned to receive a micromobility hub. CODA plans to focus these hubs in high density areas with access to high quality bike facilities and trails where people can safely ride them. So with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Donna.
Thank you so much. I mean, I get so excited seeing those photos. So we've got a lot of questions from the community. And if you have any more, just drop them in the Q&A. We're also collecting questions from Facebook Live as well. So I'll actually take the first question, which is, where can we see these slides again? All of these slides, all of these photos will be available on the LinkUS website right after this meeting. So linkuscolumbus.com. Feel free to take a closer look at the slides that we presented today, those photos of those stations. And I can also go back and we can look at some again during this presentation. And then you'll also be able to leave feedback as well. The next question we have is, obviously, when will construction begin? So we know West Broad is up first. So anyone want to take a question on the construction and the timeline moving forward?
Yeah, I can start. So, right now we're working within the FTA's Capital Investment Grant Program. There's a lot of milestones involved with that. So, like Justin said earlier, we're tracking towards 30% design right now. We anticipate for West Broad Street going through 60% next year. We still have to go through the environmental NEPA process. And then obviously once we wrap up design work, we begin construction, which could take a couple of years. So we are aiming for 2028 for construction to begin for the West Broad Street corridor, and East Main Street Northwest corridor to begin shortly thereafter.
Thanks, Zach. Next question is around wayfinding. So in the photos, we've seen some digital signage. Will there be other types of wayfinding so that people can use outside of the digital signage that's there?
So can you repeat that one more time, Donna? I can
A question about wayfinding outside of the digital signage.
Yeah, so as of right now, we're planning to have both digital and kind of traditional static signage in the stations that would include things like a corridor map or a vicinity map. Those details are still kind of in process of being figured out, but the intent is that there would be both.
Thank you. Next, there is a more technical question about the roof extending beyond the curb. And then there's just a couple of comments just about protection from Ohio's cold weather and elements. So can you talk more about how the shelter will help protect from wind, rain, snow, et cetera?
Yeah, I'll answer that. So a few things in terms of the roof going out to meet the bus. There's actually a maximum there's actually a minimum distance between the two, or maximum distance between the two. So we're only able to go out a certain distance. So typically that's not the end of the platform. It's Matt, remind me, I think it's about 18 inches from 14 inches from the face of the bus itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. I believe it's 18 inches.
Yeah.
Are there any photos you want me to go back to kind of talk through it a little more?
I think, let me think about this. Let me take a look here real quick. Go back to like an overall,
So many good ones.
keep going. Oh, that's fine.
This one.
Actually, back a couple more. Keep going. No, the other way.
Yeah.
Back meaning to the beginning.
Yes.
Keep going. One more. Okay, yeah. So the ends of those, obviously those that roof is actually, they're parallel to the direction of the buses. So it's a flat kind of plane, but we have to hold it back a bit. In terms of other protections, so the two end walls. So when you think about these structures, they're going to be in different parts of the city and different orientations in all those different parts of the city. So unless you create a full enclosure, which is not really feasible with this particular overall design approach, you have to rely on some internal walls and some exterior walls. So you can see that the seating is located up against the inside of the end walls. And then if you look at the center panel where we were talking about that community art located, those panels themselves on either side of it, you can sit on those for protection. And on the end walls of that, or the end walls of that signal panel in the center will have glass on it as well. So you'll have some protection from the other direction. But the goal here was to kind of create as much open, movable, free area as possible. And so that was our approach to kind of addressing the protection from the wind and the rain. I mean, you're never going to have a perfect condition, unless you have a completely enclosed structure where door openings would line up with the door openings of the bus, and you then would have a safety issue in that people would then be tempted to walk between that glass panel and the end of the platform, and so that was a serious safety concern for putting glass that close to the bus.
Thank you. Here's a question about city departments and partners on the project working together and coordinating. There's a lot of growth and opportunity happening in Columbus right now. So if someone can talk about just all of the different initiatives and how they plan on working together.
Helps if I unmute. I'll try to take that one. It's a pretty big open-ended question, but the question's right. There's a lot going on. The intent of the LinkUS initiative is to tie together a lot of aligned initiatives, projects that are being managed by various agencies, not all the city of Columbus. That's why there's a multi-agency partnership moving this work forward. For the city of Columbus specifically, our Department of Development and Building and Zoning Services is leading a very comprehensive effort to overhaul our zoning code. That is its own independent project, but it is certainly complementary to the needs of LinkUS to encourage more compact walkable development around transit stations. And that work will have an immediate focus on mixed use and transit corridors. So that's one example. MORPC's regional housing strategy, which I believe they're about to do an update on, is really important to this work. Aligning our land use and zoning requirements with our housing investment strategies, with our mobility infrastructure investments. That's how we really tie synergy together and get the most positive outcome from each of these initiatives. Those are just a few. If Zach or anyone else has other thoughts to weigh in there, please do.
All right. Yeah, I mean, there are so many great initiatives happening. So keeping updated on LinkUS, our website, as well as our social media channels, as we all cross post as much as we can, is probably your best bet to stay up to date on meetings like these that'll go forward for our initiative, as well as several others that are happening.
Donna, if I could, there's
Yeah.
one other that I think, looking at the chat comments here, there are a number of questions and interest in the bike facilities specifically.
Yeah.
Those will look different depending on how much space we have to work with in different corridors, but folks may be interested, if they don't know already, that the city of Columbus is going to be kicking off a citywide bikeways and micromobility planning process in early 2023. And that's another aligned initiative where we'll take a closer look at bike facilities and mobility hubs that can tie into and support the transit corridors, although it won't only focus on the transit corridors.
Yeah, I was going to ask a little bit more. We've got some questions about bike lanes and bike infrastructure that complements these shelter concepts. So do you want to speak more about how those will work together?
Yeah, so I'll note, as I already noted, the bike facilities will look different in different corridors, depending on what available space we have to work with. I saw some questions about what level of physical protection for bike lanes. Can we get beyond just flexible posts and maybe something more hard like concrete? That's part of the design process moving forward. We do anticipate bike facilities along Broad Street. We'll be taking a closer look at exactly how much space do we have to work with and what's a feasible level of physical separation and protection that can be achieved there. The Northwest corridor is likely to look different. We expect that to be more of a shared use path. We have more space to work with. And it's a little bit of a different development context. I did see a question about East Main Street, whether or not bike facilities are there. You know, all our concept images generally show protected bike lanes. But that's not always feasible in every location. Main Street is just a physically constrained corridor. There's not as much space to work with there. The strategy there that we're pursuing is looking at parallel and connecting facilities to tie into a larger network. And those network connections will be part of this larger bikeways plan process that I mentioned. In particular, relevant to Main Street, the city of Columbus is pursuing multiple projects in the Livingston Avenue corridor, including a partnership with Bexley to develop a shared use path in the Bexley portion of the corridor. And we have a planning process underway for the portion that's west of Bexley, where we anticipate building physically protected bike facilities in the future as well. And then as we move forward, looking at how do we tie that into north-south connections into transit station locations in the Main Street corridor. That's an example of the type of integrated approach that we'd be taking.
Thank you. And I think we have time for one more question, which is on cost. Is there an estimate of anticipated costs per shelter?
Yeah, I can start that, and I can turn over to Julia if she has any more information she wants to add on. So, you know, each of these corridor projects are, multi-million-dollar projects with a pretty significant investment, more than what we've ever done in terms of a transit investment in Central Ohio before. The CMAX project that that CODA rolled out in 2018 was a $50 million project, and these projects will be, many more times than that. So right now we're working through our capital cost estimates within the FTA's grant program and working with them, obviously adding in appropriate measures for inflation and year of expenditure. So those are things we're currently refining and adjusting as we go along. I don't have a specific number to share right now, but I will direct you to our resources page on our LinkUS website, which we have a lot of previous project information and a lot of details on different capital costs on each of these corridors.
Yeah, Zach, hey, this is Julia. I just wanted to add in, basically just reaffirm everything you just said. So we don't have the exact cost numbers ready yet. We're in the process of developing them, and all that information will be shared as it's been reviewed by all the relevant stakeholder parties, and we're all comfortable with where those numbers are sitting. And also, based on the feedback that we get from conversations like this, those costs could change a little bit. So we're still working through that.
All right, thank you so much. One more question to our audience. So before we adjourn, I'm going to send another poll question. So based off of what you've seen today, would you use a station near your home or work? So the question should be popping up on your screens, as well as Facebook Live. Would you use a station like this near your home or work? So please let me know if you see it. Any of the panelists, do you see the question up?
Not yet.
Okay, let's see. Okay, there you go.
It's there now.
Great. So would you use a station like this? Please answer our poll question on Zoom and on Facebook Live. Just a kind of quick response here. And you all answer so quickly, so I'll give you like 20 more seconds. All right, now it looks like about 80% of you said that you would use a station like this frequently. 16% said you would use it rarely, and one of you said you wouldn't use it. So we're happy that we have some transit and mobility enthusiasts online today. And you are the people in our community that we really lean on to help spread the word and, you know, all of the great things that are coming forward with this project. So thank you so much for taking a part of that. So, right. Moving forward, so we are at the end of our engagement for today. I do want to thank you and just go over some next steps. Like I mentioned earlier, the station design images that you've seen today will be available on the LinkUsColumbus.com website at the end of this meeting. So feel free to head on over there. We'll also be communicating with you via email and whatnot to remind you to take a look at those images, share them with your neighbors and your friends as we are collecting feedback on these station concepts. As well as while you're on the LinkUsColumbus.com website, sign up for the newsletter. We've got a lot of exciting things happening in 2023. Zach, do you want to go over the upcoming status of all of our corridor projects?
Yeah, I don't think you're sharing the screen right now, but
Oh, okay. Let me.
I do see a lot of comments in the chat right now about frequency, and I just before everybody leaves, I do want to mention that, you know, the station designs are just one concept of BRT. Obviously, the corridors are going to have the dedicated lanes. We're going to have the signal priority, and we're also going to have, you know, quicker travel time. So this is just one element of the BRT. I know it's just a short hour, so I'll refer to those that have questions about that to the website again to learn about some of the other elements we're looking to as part of these projects. But as Donna said, this is where we are with each of the corridors. I know Justin had touched about this earlier in the presentation. You know, the work is continuing, and please sign up for the LinkUS newsletter if you haven't already. We hope to have more engagements like this in 2023 as we're continuing the process. And Donna, I don't know if you've mentioned yet, but we are going to have these available online, and then we'll have a couple of questions. And as always, you're welcome to send in any feedback through the LinkUS contact page as well.
Thank you. And reiterating all of this again, we are easy to find. So follow us on any of the social channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at LinkUS Columbus, as well as on LinkUsColumbus.com, where you can see the slides that we presented today, as well as leave feedback, sign up for our newsletter, stay engaged in all the ways that we like to reach out to you. So thank you for your time today, and looking forward to hearing from you all in 2023 and sharing some more exciting project updates. Thank you.